I said my observation is that every animal has what? A natural enemy. I'm going to call your attention to a book that you have to read. Have to read, brothers and sisters. The book that I'm about to tell you is a classic, written 500 years before Christ. This book is so important in Western civilization that many major corporations make it required reading for top management. Probably all of you got the book already. I shouldn't even mention it, but I guess I'll mention it. It's called The Art of War by Sun Tzu. You must read the book. Two things he said in this book I want you to think about. Number one, he said, if a man knows himself, but he doesn't know his enemy, he will be successful 50% of the time, and he will fail 50% of the time. And if a man doesn't know himself and he doesn't know his enemy, he will always fail. And if a man knows himself and knows his enemy, he will be successful. Number two, and this is really, really heavy. I'm going to ask you a couple questions. Question number one, how many of you in this audience believe in Allah, the Supreme Being, or God? Raise your hand. How many of you believe in his prophets? Raise your hand. How many of you believe in the scriptures that the prophets brought? Raise your hand. Good. How many of you believe in angels, life after death? How many of you believe in the devil? Let me give you some news. You don't believe in the devil. You acknowledge the existence of the devil, and there's a major difference. You will never find in Quran or Hadith, "Amantu bi shaitan," right? You don't believe in the shaitan. He's real. He exists. Yeah, he is. But belief is not just mere acknowledgement. You don't just acknowledge the existence of Allah. You believe in him. You have faith in him. You trust him. You depend upon him. Now, question. Listen to what Allah says in the Quran. Inna shaytana lakum aduun fattaqiduhu aduwa. The devil is your enemy, so take him as an enemy. The devil is real. The Christians teach it. It's in the Bible. It's in the Torah. Moses taught it. It's in the Injil, the gospel. Jesus taught it. All the prophets talked about this creature called Shaitan. He's the enemy of man. The white man is not the enemy of man, necessarily. There's some white people are enemies of man, but there's some black people enemies of man. There's some men that are enemies to man, and there are women, a few, that might almost be an enemy to man. Now, Allah mentioned in the Quran that this enemy called Shaitan, he sees us from where we can't see him. Now I'm going to ask you a critical theological question, strictly theological, as a Jew, as a Christian, as a Muslim. Can the Shaitan, can the devil kill you? Physically, can't do it. You know why? It's against the rules of engagement. He can invite you. He can influence you. He can try to trick you, but he can't kill you. He can't physically hurt you. So the weapon of the devil, Shaitan, is not his hands, but is his voice, his whisper, his deception. Now, what's over here? Number two, Sun Tzu said, the greatest achievement in war, listen carefully, is to be able to defeat your enemy without shedding a drop of blood. Defeat your enemy without shedding a drop of blood.